It's morphin' time! Mighty Morphin Power Rangers once and always released this past Wednesday on Netflix and is directed by Charlie Heskel, who has directed many episodes of several TV series, including many seasons of the Power Rangers. And the big selling point of this special was that they were bringing back a whole bunch of the original Power Rangers from the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers seasons from 1993 to, I want to say 1995, 1996, or as I like to call it, the pool of actors who agreed to the terrible pay to come back and do this special. And those people include David Yost, Walter Jones, Catherine Sutherland, Steve Cardenas, Johnny Young Bosch, Karen Ashley, Barbara Goodson as the voice of Rita Repulsa, and introducing Charlie Kesh, who is the daughter of Trini. So going forward in this review, I am going to be referring to the characters and the actors by the character names because that's who I know them as. I grew up in the early 90s. I was a kid at this time. I'm a millennial. And this movie is specifically marketed to me. Because seeing all these people back, especially David Yost, who plays Billy, has such meaning because he left the series due to a whole bunch of homophobic slurs and just a lot of psychological and verbal abuse that he received on the sets, and he finally just did away with it, and we haven't seen him since, so it's really cool to see him back. So I'm going to be referring to all these people as Billy, Zach, and Rocky, who is actually one of my favorite Rangers, and then Kat. So going forward, just know I know the difference, but the names are always just going to stay the same for me, so that's what we're doing. Rita Repulsa has returned as some type of robotic form of her former self, and during one of the grueling and yet very familiar and very repetitive fights with the putties, the Yellow Ranger Trini sacrifices herself to save Billy the Blue Ranger and is killed. And 1 year later, at the anniversary of her passing, Rita returns to the Earth to capture as many Power Rangers as she possibly could to help power her machine to help her travel back in time. Now Billy, Zach, and Alpha 9 call on former Power Ranger friends and welcome a new Ranger to the group, Min, who is the daughter of former Yellow Ranger Trini. So that's technically the plot synopsis, but really the plot synopsis of this movie is just nostalgia. Nostalgia, 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 nostalgia. Nostalgia. And when it comes to that nostalgia point, I am all in. It was so cool watching all of these people come back. Rocky, who, like I said, is one of my favorite Power Rangers. The fact that he came back here is really cool, and he's in his Red Ranger suit. So glad they didn't put him in his blue Zeo Ranger suit. I always hated that he got that demotion. Like, he was the Red Ranger in season 2 and 3 of Mighty Morphin, and then when they moved to Zeo, they put Tommy in the role of Red Ranger as the leader, and then they moved him to blue, and I always thought, God, that just freaking sucks. Because technically you were the leader, or at least like one of the high-ranking officers, and then here you are, you're just the Blue Ranger. That sucks. And then we also got Kat back as the Pink Ranger, who was a big presence felt in season 3, I believe, when they got their ninjetti powers. I would watch Power Rangers all the time, from the initial concept from Mighty Morphin, all the way up to Lost Galaxy. That was really the chunk of time that I paid attention and I watched every single episode. After Lost Galaxy, I slowly trickled away. I would collect all the Megazords that I possibly could, but after Lost Galaxy, it was slowly trickle out. There was Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force was okay, and then you had the Ninja Storm, and then you have Mystic Force, Wild Force, and then it just got too much because it felt very repetitive. So I don't know how this movie, or I guess I should say like a Netflix special because it's only barely an hour long, I'm not sure how it fits into the continuity of the Ranger history or Ranger lore. They definitely have a whole bunch of callbacks to things and monsters that they fought in the past during the original seasons, but I don't know how this fits into like the new iterations of Power Rangers. Even though I guess there are just tons of groups of Power Rangers all over the world. Is that a thing now in the Ranger universe? Just everyone's a Power Ranger? I know a couple of years ago they had like the big reunion of like everyone coming back, but I never watched it. But is that the thing now? Like, everyone has the powers? Because back in my day, in the original season, you had these power coins, and that was the only thing that had the power. And once that coin was destroyed, those powers were gone. That's why we moved to the Zeo Crystal, and then we moved to Turbo Power. And then we had the Space Rangers, who just kind of had it locked in a computer somewhere. And then Lost Galaxy with the Quasar Sabers. That made sense. So to see instances here where Billy and Zach, they have the power coins again, you have references to Jason, Tommy, and Kimberly, but because some of those actors didn't want to come back due to pay or due to scheduling with their artistic conflicts, or that they have passed on, they kept the helmets on, but then they took them away and they were draining all of their powers. And I'm sitting there going like, wait, didn't they lose these powers a long time ago? How do they have these powers back? And then when Rocky and Kat come back in, they're like, hey, we duplicated the power rings. Here you go. So wait. You could just do that? Like all the suspense that we had back in like season 2 and season 3 when all the Zords were destroyed and the powers were destroyed? You could just replicate it? Really? I do like that Zach had a little aside when when Alpha pulled out those coins for Rocky and Kat, and Zach is like, wait. Zordon said that doing that is very dangerous. So why did we do that? But then they were just like, we're here. And then they moved on. That's standard Power Rangers writing right there. They start to address the inconsistency, but then they're like, no, we need to get to the battles, and we need to get to the Megazords, so shut up. So as you can tell, like, this movie was very nostalgic for me, and seeing all these characters and people come back, following on Instagram and seeing them go to all these Comic-Con conventions and posing with all these fans, all of a sudden you see them back on screen again. You're like, oh yeah, they still got it. They got a lot more wrinkles, but they still got it. Now take the nostalgia away. This is a very silly and very simplified movie. The acting in here is very pedestrian. It's very like, oh, we're starting off in our acting classes. We have a lot of blocking where we're just standing in the line and we're just simply cheating out because the camera's right here and you need to open up the body so that you can see it. So guess we'll carry on the conversation like this, as if we're in a stage show. And Billy, like in the script, has a lot of emotional moments, or moments where you could see like a tear come down, or just like a pause and just breaking and reflecting on things. But because this is an hour special, they kind of rush through it. And I'm also not sure that Billy could actually get there because everything was very just one note. Zach was the only one with levels here where he could play funny, he could play silly, he could play energetic, but he could also play serious and stern too. He was probably the best one out of the group. Rocky probably had the most fun, probably like the most just jacked to be back because I think he's just so cool. I don't think he knows what to do with his arms though. If you watch him in the background, or if you're just watching him in any scene that he's talking in, his arms are basically like doing when Ace Ventura got the injections into his arm, just flopping around. He's kind of doing that. He's just, what do I do with my arms here? So the acting, it's not great, but then thinking back to the actual TV series, I don't think it ever was great, so that's a pass for me. I do like the production design of this movie. The costumes constantly look great. I'm pretty sure these are the exact same costumes, or at least the same concept costumes that they used back in 1993 when it would cut to the American versions. The command center set looks really cool and really updated. Rita's castle on the moon actually looks very menacing, and I really enjoy that. And I like a lot of the fighting that we get in here. I actually like, and this never happened in the original series, but I like now that when you hit a putty, these clay putties with certain force or in a certain way, they actually crumble to like putty dust. And we never got that in the original season. We got something in season 2 when Lord Zed came in and you hit the Z's and they would break apart. But in the original season, you never really got that. It was just putties going. Here you can actually kill a putty, and I appreciate it. I also like that we get some stabbing and shooting in here. The fight choreography in the original season was very light and very soft, and there weren't a lot of stabbing motions. In here, we have Rocky with this big-ass frickin' sword, and he's going around stabbing people. And I appreciated that. It's like, yes, why didn't we see that in the original seasons? You got a sword, you should probably be stabbing some evil dudes. The Yellow Ranger with her little daggers actually like goes up to two putties and goes, ha! Never got that. We would always get the brushing from side to side, the slashing from side to side, and it always annoyed me. But I think the biggest annoyance that I had with this entire special, when I was a kid, the best thing about the Power Rangers episodes were the Megazord battles. And yes, it was a guy in some type of suit, and they had the plastic buildings everywhere, and they would do the choreography and the fighting that way, but it looked really cool. It looked real. It looked practical. There was a tangibility about it. And here, the Megazord battle, even though it's cool to see the Dinozords come back, when everything gets together and they form the Megazord, it's all CGI. And it's really bad CGI. If you remember the 1995 Power Rangers movie and how bad that CGI was, this was worse. Like, I would expect this to be the end product of a visual effects project from someone like in 6th grade who is just starting out and learning how to do special effects on their computer. I would not expect this as a finished product to a Netflix special. It just looked bad. To say I was disappointed in that is an understatement, because that's the whole point of Power Rangers. You build up to a Megazord battle and it's supposed to be really cool. And here, I like the build up. I like the build to it, but then the actual thing, it just under-delivered, and it really, really annoyed me. The main reason, though, behind this special, and this is really what got me and made me just sit alone in the dark after watching this, really it was a eulogy for Trini that we never got. The actual actor in real life passed away in a car accident in 2001, and it was never really mentioned on Power Rangers television. I only found out just from friends, and that was when, like, the internet was just getting started, so kind of looking up and doing some research, that's how I found out. But they never addressed it in the regular TV show, and that's where I would get all my Power Rangers news, was from the actual Power Rangers show. So this whole special really was just a eulogy for her, and I think that's really touching, and I thought it was very powerful. It was very emotional at points. And then that little tribute that they had at the end, where they played a scene from the original season, and Kimberly's playing the guitar, and they would focus on Tommy, and they would focus on Trini. And that got me. Like, I wasn't crying, but just sitting back and thinking, like, wow, those were two people that I looked up to. Those were two heroes in my eyes growing up, and they're no longer with us. And it just made me just do a little, like, retrospective of my life, saying, like, the things that I've liked are coming to an end. Things are ending. And that's the journey of life. Things grow, things begin, and then things die and things end. And now just kind of sitting back and being very contemplative of just the ending part of life and just thinking about my life, and my childhood is ending. Here is this nostalgic special that I just watched for an hour, and now it's done. My childhood is done again. Life, it's beautiful, it's dark, it's depressing, but it's also great. It's just a lot of fun. If you're a millennial like me, if you loved the Power Rangers from the 90s, if that was your go-to entertainment and that was everything in your life was Power Rangers, you will love this special. If you're brand new to the Power Rangers world and you just turn this on just to see what all the fuss is about, you're probably going to think nothing's really special about this one. And yeah, you'd probably be right with that. But for the main purposes of this special, where it's all about nostalgia and really about eulogizing Trini, finally, that we got 22 years later, this was very impactful and very special. I'm going to give Mighty Morphin Power Rangers once and always 3 out of 5 Blu-rays.
Not exactly what I had in mind, but not bad.
So guys, if you checked out the once and only special, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.